lifeguard headquarters.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Yes, my pleasure.
And next is Shakespeare by the Sea. Come on, Dempsey. I got my hat.
Yeah, go ahead, Barbara.
There we go. Showing our support.
Thank you so much for that. I'm Dempsey Nelson. I'm a board member. I'm going to defer to, I think Suzanne Dean is online on Zoom with our presentation. Suzanne is, well, she'll introduce herself, but she's one of our 2 co-artistic producing directors of Shakespeare by the Sea. I'll just say I'm 42-year Hermosa Beach resident, been a fundraiser for Shakespeare by the Sea for almost 25 of its 28 years, and been on the board coming up on 12 years now. And as you'll hear from Suzanne's presentation, and I'll fill in any of the gaps, this Shakespeare by the Sea tour would not happen without Hermosa Beach. We are the standout, stellar, supporting city of all of our cities. But Suzanne, are you there on board?
I am here. I'm not sure if you can hear me. This is Suzanne. Okay. Hi. Hello, everyone. I'm Suzanne Dean. I'm the co-artistic director of Shakespeare by the Sea, as Dempsey mentioned. And this was our 26th season coming to Hermosa Beach. We did 2 productions this year. We brought our comedy, As You Like It, on Wednesday, July 9th. Thank you for that slide. Here's a couple of pictures from the production as well as the audience. We do attendance by just a head count, you know, because since we're non-ticketed, admission-free, people can come throughout the evening. Our estimate for the attendance that night was around 532 people. The show was a 2-hour production with an intermission. There were raffle prizes given away at the end of the show. We had wonderful comments from attendees enjoying the production. The following night, and we could go to, also we did have, let's go back. So we did have that night, we had Sunny. Sunny was there with the cast and watching a little bit of the show. So that was really lovely to have the mascot there with us at the performance. And we also were thrilled that Supervisor Mitchell was there attending as well, and at the beginning of the show to do a brief introduction, welcoming the community to this location. Then the following night, we did Julius Caesar, our tragedy, and again, by manual estimated head count, we had about 582 people, a little bit more on the second night than we did the first night, for a rough total of over 1,100 people between the 2 performances. Again, a 2-hour production, raffle prizes given away at the end of the night. A lot of fun had by everyone attending. Again, everything was admission-free, ticketless, families of all ages. We also have optional surveys that people can take either by paper or online using a QR code. And I did notice that we had several people that came in from other areas of Los Angeles to see the show. The majority of the people that filled those out were Hermosa Beach residents, but we did have some people from other areas enjoying this beautiful park. So I do want to thank, obviously, the City of Hermosa Beach, the Community Resources Department and Public Works, also all of the local businesses who contributed, whether by an ad sponsorship or providing raffle prizes. All of these things helped to support this production, both productions this year. And certainly we thank all the Hermosa Beach residents who have been welcoming us there for 26 years. It is our longest tour location that we go to. We've been coming for 26 years and the organization has been around for 28. So we're thrilled and can't wait to come back next year.
And Suzanne, if I might add, we were so honored that Supervisor Mitchell attended our opening night. Of the 19 venues that we perform in parks for free, 5 of those are in Supervisor Mitchell's district, and she chose to come to Hermosa Beach. And I was so glad that there were 530 of our folks there. I think a lot of folks don't realize that Supervisor Mitchell, 2nd District Supervisor, is our supervisor now, whereas Janice Hahn had been for so many years. And I'll add that from the very beginning, Supervisor Hahn has been a supporter of Shakespeare by the Sea, as we were first based in San Pedro. So when she was city council member and a member of Congress, and then went on to become a supervisor, she's always supported Shakespeare by the Sea. But I'm happy to say that for the last 4 years, Supervisor Mitchell has supported us as well, both with the support from her staff and financially. And we couldn't do it without that support. And as Suzanne said, we absolutely could not do this without the support of the City of Hermosa Beach, specifically Community Resources, Public Works, John Caldwell with his staff are always making sure the park is beautiful. And I have a long list, I always give these shout outs from the stage, of our businesses, our philanthropic organizations, all of whom participate with support financially, and Rotary that always offers us their clubhouse that really helps us between the two performances, that we don't have to throw everything back in the truck, that we've got the support of them. And as you see from the banner, every year they allow us to hang that banner 2 or 3 weeks ahead of the performances, so it's right there on Valley, so everybody knows it's coming. And again, without that kind of support, we couldn't do it. The season's a big season. Before COVID, we were going to 22 cities. When we came back after our 2 years, we were at only 13. We're at about 19 cities right now. And just like Little League, costs have gone up. We were in the red last year, or a little bit in the red again this year, just to support the truck, the rental, when we do run into situations where we have to rent a generator. And I'm proud to say we pay our actors. A lot of our cast are equity members, and because of the state law, AB 5, we're required to pay our actors for minimum wage for every rehearsal hour and for every performance hour. So our costs have gone up, but we're proud to meet those costs, especially when we're supporting these young artists. Some of them not necessarily so young, but people who've made a career of acting and are part of our company. So again, thank you so much, City of Hermosa Beach, and thank you specifically, Lisa, your staff, Brian, your folks that help us out. And if you have any questions, Suzanne and I could answer.
Actually, I have a question. I've been going to these since my daughter was young, and they just keep growing and getting better and better. And I went to go see Shakespeare. And I believe Suzanne said it was infused with some modern language. And I was listening and trying to count how many times, you put in the modern language. Do you guys have something at the end of the show that you can give people who were listening to that? Or I think I counted 2 or 3.
Stephanie, this was the first year. We always do. First of all, we have to shorten the shows. They have to be within the 2 hours because there's curfews in parks, and it's with intermission. It's always edited abridged some, but we did take advantage this year. And Suzanne, if you could fill in the details about the organization whose script we used for Julius Caesar.
Yes, this year, our tragedy, Julius Caesar, we used a script from Play on Shakespeare, which is a program that came out of the Oregon Shakespeare Festival many years ago, where they are hiring playwrights, living playwrights, to translate Shakespeare's works, and each one of the plays has been translated. And I use translate in quotes because, as you just said, there isn't a lot of modernization that would be noticeable to an audience. Most of the plays, it's just very minimal changes, just enough to make it a little bit more accessible to everyone. So unfortunately, we didn't have something at the end of the play to hand out, but we did ask people to let us know if they noticed something that was modern to their ear. And only a few people at the shows mentioned 1 or 2 lines, and we didn't get a lot of feedback about that. Most of the feedback that we got was we couldn't tell.
It's a dangerous line because there are some Shakespeare aficionados, my wife being one of them, who, again, Community Resources, thank you, supports a Shakespeare reading group that she's a part of, who said, you can't tamper with the language. It was very gentle tampering just to make it a bit more accessible for folks. As I always say when I come and promote here, just come and enjoy the evening. You don't have to necessarily understand or even just have the evening, enjoy a picnic with your family under the stars, and guess what? You might pick up some things and certainly see colorful performances from our terrific actors. So some do come with their Penguin edition or whatever of Shakespeare, and will read along. And that's a little difficult because we do some abridging, but we've got a mixed bag of audience there, but I think we've reached that happy medium by taking advantage of the organization's scripts and still keeping as true as possible to the bard's words.
Well, I saw the numbers, and it's, I know how hard you all work on this, but it does, your hard work is paying off. Every year, a few more people, every year, a little bit more money, obviously not enough, but
I want to give a shout out to the Hermosa residents because at our Lisa Viejo performance, I think we had 900 folks in attendance, and the goodies and the contributions that came from them were half as many that came from Hermosa residents.
Excellent.
So the Hermosa residents love Shakespeare by the Sea. So thank you, residents. Thank you, everyone in Hermosa Beach.
we've been lucky enough every once in a while you've told us what's coming next year.
I don't think we make. Go ahead, Suzanne.
We do not have the 2 shows selected yet for next year.
Okay, it'll be a surprise for everyone.
It will. Thank you so much.
I was going to congratulate you on a good season, but I'm curious, do you know what you can attribute the increase in attendance over last year? You doubled the attendance from last year to this year. Do you
I
know?
am certainly, I will be bold and say that the couple of the plays that we chose last year were less well-known titles. One was a play that no one even knew was a Shakespeare play.
I remember that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And yet it was a wonderful production and everyone had a great time. But I do think title, we have found this over many years, that the titles really do contribute to the outcome of who attends, how many people attend. And when you do the more popular titles, people come out.
Case in point, 2 years ago, our history was, our drama was Hamlet. Drama was Hamlet, and we had 800 folks in Valley Park. And I should give a shout out to Valley Park. You know, we don't perform in the little amphitheater anymore. We haven't been able to do that for quite some time, primarily because the cypress trees have overgrown and the olive tree that's there kind of house right just eliminates a lot of the seating. For a while, we were on the other side, and that had some issues because of the fire pit, which is now paved, and that's fine. But one of the actually Public Works folks, just before COVID said, "Why aren't you on the other side here?" Well, we can't use, no, I don't mean the amphitheater. I mean this natural amphitheater that kind of spreads and that we perform to. And as Joe can attest, we actually had an Eagle Scout come to us. Barbara, you came and had a little meeting with us. There was an Eagle Scout who wanted to make it a project of his to make that an official amphitheater, expand it, and perhaps put in a pad. And because we know all the difficulty with engineering and there's a waiting list for projects, but for me, and I think Suzanne will agree, we are able to perform quite nicely, just the way it is. The slope is gentle enough that people aren't uncomfortable, yet it gives perfect sight line. And when I mentioned the 800 people that were there for Hamlet, we could have 1,000 people in there, and there would still be sight lines for everyone to see where we put our stage. So I'm not saying it wouldn't be wonderful if we actually made it and expanded the Hermosa Valley Amphitheater, but we can continue to perform Shakespeare by the Sea very nicely, just the way it is, because of the support of staff here and especially Public Works.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Suzanne, you also. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, next, we're moving on to the Community Resource Director report. Lisa?
Thank you, Chair Ellman, and good evening, Commissioners. We will go ahead and queue up the presentation.
I always love having cold air way down on.
Okay. Next slide. So the first slide that we're advancing to is an item that exists in this report each month, and it provides updates to the Commission on City Council's direction on items that were previously on the Commission's agenda or new items that were assigned to the Commission by City Council. So we have 3 new items on this list since our last meeting, and all of these items were added from City Council's August 25th meeting. So the first new item to this list is City Council requested staff review the municipal code section pertaining to the sale of goods in association with a special event permit. The current language limits food, beverage, and merchandise sales from the event producer themselves. And City Council has directed staff to prepare a recommendation on revising the language to consider allowing other vendors associated with the event to sell as well. So not only the event producer, but any other vendors that are part of their event footprint. The second and third new items on this list are City Council requested staff prepare a review of potential expansion options for the Hermosa Beach Museum and feasibility of placement of a new access mat on the north side of the pier near Longfellow Avenue. And this review would be presented to the commission, followed by the Public Works Commission, so that both commissions would be able to provide input before we return to City Council. Next slide. All right, and this is also a item that exists monthly in this report, and this is giving the commission a sneak peek into our next meeting, really the action items that we have scheduled as of today. And next month, we will have our returning Impact Level 2 events before the commission. So Impact Level 2 are reviewed and approved by the commission. And as part of this item, staff is also going to be including a recommendation pertaining to AAU's long-term agreement negotiations for its July National Youth Tournament. Staff will ask the commission to consider also allowing its AAU Southern Grand Prix Series and AAU High School Beach Volleyball matches, which is a new event we'll get to later on in the agenda, to be considered in this long-term agreement as well. So it's really forming one agreement with AAU for all of its events instead of just one of its events. Additionally, in October, staff is going to provide a second review of our park hours. So just to provide a reminder on this item and for background for our newer commissioners, the commission did request staff review the city park hours due to potential concern with park violations or disturbances to surrounding neighbors during the evening hours. At the commission's April 1st meeting this year, staff presented and did recommend that we do not modify the hours. The police department's call log really did not display sufficient data that led to support such a change. So at that meeting, the commission did request staff return in fall of 2025 so we can collect more data over the summer 2025 season. And in October, we will also provide a snapshot of the survey results that we sent to the participants of the July Youth Volleyball Tournaments so that we have insight on the economic benefit to Hermosa Beach from all three of those tournaments. And lastly, we will bring an item to the commission next month to collect input from the commission on the location of trees to be planted to replace the removed trees at Valley Park. That will then go to the Public Works Commission before it goes to City Council ultimately. And then next slide. We are excited to announce some new in-house programs, and I just lost my place. Okay. The next, this next item is really just to share that the department has created an adult 4-on-4 basketball league, and that begins next week. We have 6 teams registered, so that will take place at the community center gym. We also did take over the management of an adult slow pitch softball league, and that was previously managed by a contract class instructor through the contract class program. And that league is full with 6 teams registered. We have created a new webpage. It's hermosabeach.gov/league. So anyone who's interested in more information about these leagues, new leagues that may come to be announced on that page, and who would like to join the wait list can get that, do all of those things really at that new webpage. And then next slide. Okay, so to close out tonight's report, we do have some miscellaneous items to share. First being that the request for proposals for a new recreation software company for the department did close, and this new software would allow us to take our activity registration and facility bookings. We are in the process of reviewing the bids. Next, the city will host its annual 9/11 wreath-laying ceremony at the 9/11 Memorial on the south side of Pier Avenue on the Greenbelt at 7:30. The flyer actually has just been added to the events calendar on the city website as of today. Our park after-school program is back in session with the start of the school year, and any information on that program and questions on how to sign up can be found at hermosabeach.gov/recreation. And lastly, beginning in October, our commission meetings will start at 6 p.m., and this will align us with all other commissions and city council. And that concludes my director's report.
Excellent. Anyone have any questions for Lisa?
I have a question. Lisa, regarding the approval of whether other vendors can sell things do you have an example of what that might look like?
So an example would be right now, really what can take place is just an event producer themselves can only sell event branded merchandise. So it can only really have the event logo, event name, and the producing company. Other vendors are interested in obviously being part of the event. When you go to any volleyball tournament, you maybe see an energy drink company or sunglasses, swimwear. Right now, the code doesn't really allow those vendors to sell anything. So that does hurt the event success at times because vendors don't necessarily want to be a part of that event if they can't have some sort of a profit. So to ensure the success of certain events, council would like us to consider modifying that code so that other vendors can sell along with the event producer themselves.
Okay, so the consideration is whether the city can modify the code to allow the other vendors to sell their products.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
And do you know who would decide which vendors is that the council? Would that be us?
That would ultimately be part of what we would discuss. And so staff would make a recommendation whether it would be up to city council to approve or what should it go to commission to make a recommendation to city council to approve, and then we would have a discussion ultimately to make a formal recommendation to city council on the process.
Thank you.
Just regarding the future agenda items, and I know they're contained in the director's report, but for the public, when they're looking at the meeting agenda, it would help if, say, some boilerplate description that's down there. I looked at the Planning Commission, Public Works, City Council. They all format their future agenda items differently, but it is an attachment down in that section. I think it would be helpful, not that we need an attachment, but maybe the little blurb description that's boilerplate, we could just say, see Community Resources Director report for known future agenda items going into the meeting. Something like that's a pointer, just so people can find them more easily.
Thank you for the suggestion, and I know we had a public comment pertaining to that, so I'm actually going to make sure, we always strive to have all the commissions and council aligned to some degree, so I'm going to actually look into what the other commissions do and see if we can follow suit. So thank you.
You'll find they all do it differently, but
Oh, okay.
they have different format, but they all have an attachment in
So
that
that's a great
section.
suggestion
Yeah.
that you had then to work with our format.
Just backing up on Tracy's comment, the vendors, would that be also businesses in Hermosa Beach?
If they were interested in being part of the event footprint, certainly.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. All right. I have a few questions for you, Lisa, haunting you as I do. Concerts on the beach. The after-school program, it's full right now, but if we have more people showing interest, we might be able to find other part-time help.
I wouldn't say it's full. I say if anyone's interested to contact us. The numbers are really set by the staff that we have hired and their availability, really. So it's definitely worth reaching out to us right now.
All right. And is Nick going to come and give us an update about the summer program?
We don't do that presentation as the update really lives in our activity report. We report those numbers monthly to the commission.
Okay. How many times? Okay. This one, I'm going to ask you a question because I try not to listen to too much or read too much what's on Facebook, but there are a couple comments that have been made lately. And one was that the Clark building was closed for 7 years. I don't believe that's correct. Is there something that you can share with us tonight or follow up next month?
Certainly. It definitely was not closed. all 7 years. In the 2017 to 2018 fiscal year, sometime within that time frame, that's when the kitchen closed and the work began on the kitchen. But we were still allowing use of the main hall, the building, the building in that way, through COVID. So it didn't close until March 2020. And then we did reopen it in August 2021. But we were having frequent issues with the restroom due to existing sewer problems. So we did close it again in March of 2022 until minor upgrades were made, allowing for some upgrades for the sewer system. And that was spring of last year. And we kept it open until we had a construction timeline for the recent renovations.
So there were many groups that used the building, and it wasn't perfect. We knew that. And we also did charge people for the use of the building at that time.
We did.
Okay. Let's see. Our nothing weekends. We have two nothing weekends next year already on the schedule. I'm kind of asking that now because I'm curious to know. Who gets to decide when those weekends are? Is that staff? When do we decide how far out? Because we already have it for next year, and we don't have.
It's an item tonight that we're discussing.
Okay. Then
As
I'll
part
wait
of
on that
the returning Impact Level 3 events.
Okay, so I'll wait
So
for
we
that.
have a recommendation for you later.
And lastly, I'll leave Joe. I'll get Joe later on that. And are we talking with lawn bowling at all? Are they coming to see us anytime soon? They're very busy this last weekend. They had a tournament going on. It looked really interesting, but we haven't heard from them in a while.
They're not required to give any type of
Okay.
presentations to the commission. We do have, on that first slide I had as part of the director's report, we do have that item that City Council requested to review all their operations and maintenance procedures. So
Okay.
that will be an item that will come back to the commission.
Okay.
So you will definitely be hearing from them when that item is prepared and on the agenda.
Perfect. Thank you very much. All right, so next we're going, oh, yes.
Sorry, Lisa, can I also just ask to see if there's any update on the two existing subcommittees that last month, I think the municipal lease policy one was potentially on the agenda for this month, but it's not. But any update on what's going on with those? Are they carrying forth?
Yes, definitely. So the volleyball court use policy subcommittee met last week. We went over our scope of work, so I can definitely give a more detailed breakdown as we formalize formalize and finalize our next steps. We kind of have an overview right now, but essentially it's to create a use policy for the courts. And the municipal lease policy is to create a policy for indoor leases for the city so that all the leases are aligned with one another. Every lease right now is a little bit different length, term length, and different terms within it. So we want some kind of standard lease agreement. But again, I do have to review that item with our new leadership and make sure that our scope of work remains within what we had developed. And I'm hoping at our next commission meeting that I'll be able to have an item to replace former Commissioner Pizer-Maines on that subcommittee.
Great. All right, next we're going to go to public comment. But before we go to public comment, Lisa, did you want to discuss the updates on that?
Yes, thank you, Chair Ellman. Okay, so just to be cleared for the community, at its August 26th meeting, the City Council did provide direction on various changes to the structure of their meetings pertaining to public comment. It did include reverting general public comment to 3 minutes and allowing for remote participation. At the City Council September 9th meeting, they are going to clarify whether these changes are going to apply to the commissions, but in the interim time, we are going to keep our current agenda structure. So Kaylin can give our regular public comment
Kaylin,
information.
would you like to give a regular public comment?
Yes. This is the time for members of the public to address the commission on items on and not on the agenda, but within the commission's jurisdiction. Each speaker is limited to 2 minutes and will be taken in person only. A total of 30 minutes will be allocated for this comment period. As a reminder, another public comment period at the end of this meeting is reserved for those comments who could not be heard during this first public comment opportunity. A reminder that if you address the commission on a discussion item, you will not be able to address the commission on the same item when it is heard at a later part of the meeting. Do we have anyone in the chambers wishing to provide public comment?
All right. Next, the consent calendar. I'm sorry, next, commissioners' comments. Does anyone have any more comments?
I just wanted to let you know that I went to the Mind Travel silent concert, and I watched the past meetings, and people were trying to figure out exactly what it was and how it worked. And it was a really cool concert. They had a piano in the sand. They had some white flags and white trees they put out and all these flowers. And I'd say about 100 to 150 people came, and they had the headsets on, headphones, and everybody was kind of listening to the music themselves. And nobody can interrupt you, nobody can go up to you because everybody's in their own space and listening. And it was a really beautiful concert with the composer, Murray. He let me listen for a while. And it was just really relaxing, and the sun was setting. It was a beautiful time, and I think it was their first time, so I managed to get a picture and got it into the Easy Reader to kind of promote a different style of event that we advocated for. So
That was great. Well, thank you. I was sorry we missed that.
You touched on the Clark Building, but I wanted just to give it a shout out to Lisa and Cam and the staff and Joe at Public Works, because I went to I think we were all there at the opening for the Clark Building, and it's beautiful. You guys all did a really nice job, and if you guys haven't had a chance to visit the new and improved Clark Building, I recommend it. Really fantastic.
Nice job. All right, next, the consent calendar. Unless anyone has anything to say, can I get a motion to receive and file?
I'll make a motion to receive and file the consent calendar.
Second?
Perfect.
Voting is now open.
That worked. I'm so excited.
Voting is now closed. Motion carries unanimously.
All right, so next we're at public hearings. The first public hearing will be the consideration of request to establish a memorandum of understanding with the Hermosa Beach Little League.
Correction, this is a matter for commission consideration. Chair Elman, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No public hearings this evening.
Almost perfect. Joe, welcome to Parks and Rec.
Yes, Director San Clemente will be giving this report for us.
All right. Good evening, Chairperson Elman, Commissioners. So I'm here tonight. I'm also joined with folks from Hermosa Beach Little League, who I'm going to call up in 1 minute, to present a proposal for improvements to Clark Field and the consideration of entering into a new memorandum of understanding between the city and HBLL. As folks from Little League will provide in more detail tonight, there's a number of significant improvements being proposed to Clark Field. Throughout the Parks Master Planning process that was concluded in the last year, Little League had joined into that participation effort and made various proposals through the Parks Master Plan that do align with the overall goals of enhancing the conditions of Clark Stadium, though not specific, there were no specific improvements outlined in the Parks Master Plan other than desire for overall larger improvements to that facility. As envisioned and presented to you tonight for further consideration is a MOU arrangement. If this were to proceed, it would not be through a capital improvement program project because it would be a completely self-funded project through fundraising, through Little League. They would be responsible through the MOU agreement to fundraise, advance the design, and retain a contractor and oversee the construction. Of course, this process would require significant involvement from Public Works staff to develop the MOU agreement and oversee the design process. Even though they would be responsible for retaining a designer, we would have to oversee the design to ensure that it meets standards and that the improvements in the public right-of-way is appropriate and meets those requirements. Tonight, I guess, before you is the overall consideration of this proposal and consideration of whether or not staff should proceed into an MOU agreement. Our plan is to bring this to you tonight, as well as to go to Public Works Commission and ultimately City Council for consideration. But without more ado, I'm going to bring up Hermosa Beach Little League team that can walk into more of the particulars about their proposal. And then I'm happy to answer any questions as well.
Hello, Commissioners. I'm Jim Fasola, and this is Mark Mamber. He's former president of Hermosa Beach Little League, Mark, and I'm on the board of directors, but and also an architect, and so I was involved in these improvements from. They all started about 4 or 5 years ago when we looked into this, and basically, Clark is a great place. It is terrific, and when there are games going on, unlike just about every other field, there's a lot of games going on at once, 3 or 4 games at one time, and there's hundreds of people at the field all at once, and it is really a great place. But we did look for areas to improve, and part of it started with how can we get more room between the fields so that we can have older kids. It was originally so we could get softball in. They needed a certain fence distance, and we didn't have it. And so then, but besides that, just getting bigger fields, how can we move the fields around a little bit, or what can we do in order to get more room to play? And when we looked into that, we looked into some other things that we wanted to improve too. So Mark has put together do you want to walk them through the plan? That might be best, and then I could go.
Right. How much detail is should we present tonight? Is it okay to zip through some of the slides, or have you had a chance to review the information in there?
Well, I think we all did some of our homework, so
Great.
I'm sure you have some highlights that you want to share. We've got a lot of information here.
I think it's already been touched on by former President Dave Schott, and our numbers are growing year over year as far as registration is concerned. And as Jim mentioned, eventually we're going to need more field space if we're going to be able to keep all the games for all ages at Clark Field. And one of the benefits of this plan would provide us that opportunity. That said, Jim's modest, but he was very, very shortly into stepping into my tenure as president. He asked me to meet him at the field, and he had me stand behind the main backstop, and he said, "What do you see?" And I said, "I can't see anything." He's like, "Exactly. That's my point." And so Jim started walking me through some thoughts he had about how we could dramatically improve the viewability of games at Clark Field. And as brainstorming kind of kicked off from there, all these ideas kind of kept coming through. How could we also improve the safety of the play for the kids, on the field by potentially adding turf or replacing the dirt infield with turf. And then Jim started doing some mock-ups of and showing me some photos of Wrigley Field and how nice everything would look once if we could replace the asphalt behind the main diamond with pavers, nice brick pavers. there's any number of items that are on our wish list that are attached to this project. But first and foremost, there are some kind of more or less simple things that we could do that would, again, kind of dramatically elevate the viewing experience at Clark Field. Dominantly wrapped up in the current backstop. You can see through these arrows, there are just a significant number of visually blocking obstructions, whether they're the support beams, vertical and horizontal, or the metal bleachers that are there. We'd like to redo all of that, which doesn't involve any pipes or electricity. It really is some more or less basic construction work that could dramatically improve this area.
So I'll say something about that.
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
So there are a couple things, or a few things that would be fairly easy to do. And one of the issues we have is that we have this great concrete bleacher that would probably hold hundreds and hundreds of people if they could see the field from there. But as you can see from this picture, the bleachers that are there, the metal bleachers, when they're filled, completely block the view for all the people in the concrete seats. So the concrete seats could end up used for somebody having eating their lunch or something in that, but you can't really, it's very difficult to watch the field from there. And so we looked into, well, also that backstop has these enormous posts, huge, including one right behind home plate, which is exactly where you don't want to put it. And there's 2 rows of fences with a lot of gates on each side. It's just difficult to see right where the action is. And so part of it is simple, as Mark said, pulling that back, pulling home plate back a little bit, pulling the fence back for sure, and replacing the bleachers with a different kind of seat. That's simple, but then once you start moving a little bit more or changing bigger things, if the dugouts change or repaving, they become more difficult items. They need engineering. Things need to be, for sure, run through Public Works. We want a more durable paving system, for instance, and that is something that Public Works is going to own at the end of this. So it needs to be something that they buy onto and say, okay, yes, this is an improvement. We like this. So basically what we want, we're funding this ourselves, but what councils come and go and commissions come and go, and what we want to be sure is when we invest to design this, which is going to be about, let's say, 10 or 20% of our total cost, we want to make sure that something doesn't change, and we invest the money on engineering and landscape architects and all this stuff. And let's say the city council at the time says, you know, we're not going to do this. We're not going to. Well, we need an MOU to protect, mostly to protect ourselves, so that we're not going off onto spending the money, investing into it, and then having the project stop for some reason. And that is the main reason why we're here in front of you to advance the MOU. The project, I don't know if we have enough details to talk about the project because they will change as we go through parks and through Public Works. So I can't say we're going to do this exact thing or that exact thing, but whatever it is, it will be approved by the powers that the city powers.
Yes. Pulling home plate back will give us, like I mentioned earlier, opportunity to put up a fence and have increase the number of games that we host at the field as registration continues to grow. It also brings the action a little closer. It engages the concrete stadium seating that's there, and we'll, as Jim mentioned, we'll kind of make it the primary seating area. And then we're also proposing putting some installed folding chairs, stadium-style seating along first baseline and third baseline. That's will be wildly helpful for handicapped spectators or elderly spectators who right now their options are pretty limited. There's, the front row of the metal bleachers that exist there. We have about 10 stackable plastic chairs that we store in the shed that we pull out for every game day and line up along the first baseline so that elderly people can sit along the first baseline. So that's on our list our wish list. If we can advance to the next slide. And then just aesthetically, as soon as you get rid of that asphalt and you put down some nice pavers, it just immediately, makes it such an inviting and warm place for the residents of Hermosa and teams and families who visit Hermosa to compete against Hermosa Little League in all-star tournaments or interleague play. And then if you could advance to the next slide, please. This is a schematic that Jim put together. So yes, we obviously have Little League kind of at the core of our motivation here, but the way that what we're proposing here as far as bringing home plate back, 13 feet?
Something like that.
13 feet. Everything pulls back with it, which will give us the opportunity to install more sod, more grass. If you can kind of see as it is related to the soccer pitch that's drawn into these schematics. By pulling it back, we'll be installing about an additional 2,200 square feet of grass at Clark Field, which, according to our friends at AYSO who use the field in the fall, would be wildly helpful for them, beneficial for their spectators who currently have to avoid setting up chairs in the dirt outfield. And it also gives them opportunity to move the pitch around a little bit over the course of the season as the grass gets really beat up from the older kids that play on the larger field. I think that's the main thing. So this will have benefits this plan would have benefits for the AYSO, which I believe is the second largest organization that utilizes Clark Field on an annual basis. Men's softball is another group, sports league, that obviously uses Clark. And in speaking with any number of those guys that have participated in that league for several years, our suggestions they're way on board with. We'd like to turf, install turf into the dirt field, which is less maintenance for the city ongoing. Right now they bring in, I forget how many tons of fresh sand or infield dirt every season, spread that around. We'd be able to eliminate a lot of the water, the sprinklers that are installed under there, and cap those. Dramatically reduce the amount of maintenance that's required currently on that field. What else is jumping out of this? I think those are the main benefits.
Oh, the scoreboard.
Yeah, on our wish list, in addition to pulling everything back and redoing the backstop, we've got some aesthetic, some that kind of straddle functional and aesthetic upgrades. The scoreboard that's there, we as a league are very anti removing anything that's historic, and that scoreboard's been in there a long time, but it's not a very functional scoreboard, and we'd like to do a much more modern, long horizontal that keeps track of the score per inning, as well as outs and strikes. It'd be a little more viewable once the sun starts setting and sun is hitting that score where you can't really see it, even though it's illuminated. So we'd be addressing that with a new scoreboard. At Jim's suggestion, which I am a very big proponent of, we want a big American flagpole, big giant American flag to wave over the course of the season that would be lit. We want to have a custom beautiful sign fabricated, a big welcome to Clark Field established in 1937. We want people to whoever, whether they're T-ball parents that are new to Clarkfield or people that live in our neighboring cities and communities. We want people to realize just what a treasure Clarkfield is and how long it's been here and how long people have been playing baseball here. I think that can be lost, and it's something to be celebrated and promoted to everybody that steps foot at the facility. And some lighting improvements. There are some spots that could use a little bit more light, and with Public Works help over the last couple of seasons, there's some great LED lighting that can just be added to the existing structure that provides substantially more light to the field, so we don't have to replace everything that's there. We can just simply add to it to achieve the desired results. And then in addition, so most of everything that we've discussed have been focused on what we call Northfield, which is the largest diamond closest to the snack stand, but we also have some other improvements to our south field. They need new bleachers and new dugouts, and just repositioning some stuff will provide a much better viewing experience for the spectators who are watching currently our youngest players play on that field. So we're including that in this project as well, which are pretty, relatively speaking, very light lifts to what we'd like to do at the North Diamond. What else have we not?
I think that you hit all the main things.
Okay.
So I think
At this point, so this is a schematic that Jim put together. It's our current proposal. It's our current vision. We know things will change as we kind of dive into this project. Our request for this MOU is more of like an umbrella agreement. We know things will change. You never know what bodies are gonna get dug up as we start swinging hammers and stuff, and we'll need to make some adjustments along the way to our plans and vision. And we're cool with that. We're prepared, to do that. As Jim said, the main objective for the MOU is just to make sure that we've got in writing commitment from the city that we're going to do this, regardless of what it ends up being. There'll be some pulls and some pushing and some adjustments to be made along the way, but the costs will be substantial, and we have money to spend on some of these initial soft costs. We've already spent thousands of dollars in, what was it, the survey and design. And before we spend any more money, we just want to make sure that we've got everybody on board and officially signed off on, yes, we want to do this. And then we will embark on a pretty substantial fundraising endeavor to fund what our ultimate mutually agreed upon vision will be.
right. As you know, things like this it's a process. I'm sure we'll end up back in front of this commission with either proposed plans or the final plans, something like that. So, but our goal now is to get the MOU.
So, Joe, do you want to come back up? We'll have some questions, but do you have something else to say?
No, I think maybe to add a little bit more detail from what Mark and Jim had said is that I think that the vision right now is to try to get an MOU that captures maybe the greatest amount of improvements that they're proposing. I think in our staff report, we've outlined a long list of items that they want, and I think some of the flexibility that they're seeking is that should they not be able to get enough fundraising to advance all those elements, they'd like to proceed with at least some of them to match what their fundraising is. And please correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what we've discussed. So I think there are this is kind of like the maximum amount of what they're looking, that we wanted to get commission's input on agreement of those scope items in this general approach of how they would proceed.
That's correct.
Okay, does anyone have any questions? We'll start with Tracy, because you are really, okay, yeah.
Well, there's not a lot about this that I think, well, that I don't like. I think it gives a lot of advantages to Little League and to the city to enter into this agreement, but I did have some questions. What are your, if you can't have everything on your list, what are your priorities? I'm curious about that. In terms of the money and the fundraising, I know one of the easiest things, it's not easy to fundraise ever, but, and this may be jumping ahead, but it's something that came to my mind. When you fundraise, one of the advantages of doing that is you could potentially offer naming rights. And the city, we put together a naming policy, and I just wonder, and it's a much bigger question for maybe this meeting, but what does that look like in terms of your fundraising and the city's naming policy, and how those would connect together?
Yeah, great question. So as far as naming rights, I'm super familiar with the city's policy after going through our upgrades on the east diamond that we refer to as Logan Field. So that's a whole other journey that will kind of take some shape as we get into people, talking with people that are willing to write some very large checks. Our plan is to very aggressively manage expectations up front that there will be no name. We're not going to rename Clark Field Skechers Field. Some of our vision are some thank you plaques, to be installed in some prominent placements around the diamond. We want to acknowledge people that that financially support the project. Yeah. Our hope is that we can find one or a handful of people to write some large checks, and we would work with them. The people that would be willing to write these checks may be doing so for different motivations, and we'll have to just kind of explore those as we go. And if we get to a place where somebody's willing to write one check to cover the whole thing, but they really want the field to be referred to as, or this one diamond to be referred to as XYZ, in perpetuity. At that point, we would kick off conversation, go through the proper channels to see if that's even possible or not.
Right, you don't want to say no to anything off the bat.
Don't want to say no to anything right off back, but unlike I have an extensive background, corporate experience in sales, and there's some people subscribe to the promise everything and figure it out afterwards. But in this case, we wouldn't want to do anything that would potentially derail, or stall, the approvals that we've been working so hard to get. So I think managing expectations up front in those fundraising efforts will be a key component to this.
That's great.
Yeah.
Because it's an MOU with the city, would that then create some cost-saving measures for Little League in terms of permit costs and things like that?
So as of right now, we are kind of leaving that off the table as far as future. This past season was the first time that we've actually had to pay rent for the season, which is right around $20,000, $14,000. We'd love to get to a place where, if and when this all really starts getting some traction, at that point we'll file whatever paperwork and motions. But yeah, my hope and vision is that at some point during this process, we'll be able to convince the powers that be to never charge Hermosa baseball rent for Clark Field ever again.
To Joe, I guess my question would be, I don't see any, but is there any negatives to partnering with Little League to do these improvements that clearly are wanted and needed?
Can I comment on that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
There
Jim?
are no negatives.
I don't
This
see any,
is-
but I'm.
One thing about this is it is non-controversial. We're not
It isn't.
asking for anything that is going to damage anything or hurt any stakeholders or people. I'm just going to say it's a win-win-win situation. Yeah.
I don't see it either, but I also can appreciate, and I can say this, that you've considered the other sports. You've considered soccer and softball and how they could benefit from this as well. So appreciate that.
Some of our kids play those sports too. So.
Okay, so I'm going to try to answer too. So I think overall, Little League has come together with a proposal that, I mean, they're self-funding. They found a way to bring this forward in a way that minimizes staff impact. However, there is staff impact. Staff will need both Public Works, our Community Resources team, a legal team will need to work to prepare this MOU in detail. However, there is precedent with Little League in having past MOUs to bring improvements forward. So there is staff impact to create that, and there will be staff impact to review. There will be detailed designs that need to be done should Little League proceed with the totality of this. I think they've spoken about a variety of different design disciplines that would be needed, from electrical design for lighting or foundation designs for the poles to civil engineering or geotech for the grading and drainage and the irrigation systems. So this is a fairly complex design. It's about $1 million of improvement. So I'm not going to say that it's not an impact, but I think we've tried to find a way to minimize the impact while advancing a potential project separately from the CIP.
That's a great answer. It's much less staff impact than if you were doing the work all within the city.
Yeah, correct. Less, but not zero.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for me for right now.
Yeah, but to your question, the staff time will still need to be prioritized against whatever other projects get priority, right? So it's going to be without city staff, the project can't proceed, right? So we just have to be aware that it'll be one of those projects, right, that we need to decide which one gets priority for city staff's attention. I agree with the need for improvements as a spectator, coach, and out of the Parks Master Plan, there's a lot of clear feedback on that. What I don't fully appreciate, and maybe you understand, is what does an MOU obligate the city? What would it, if we were to endorse and say, yes, we should pursue an MOU, and we all agree, if we were to all agree on that, what does that actually obligate the city to do at this point?
So I think the MOU, what it's going to do is it's going to outline all the responsibilities for each party. So it'll outline the roles and responsibilities for Little League and the city. So it's going to detail things like the scope of work, what is included, and what Little League would be responsible for, fundraising, design, retaining a contractor, and construction, and outlining the responsibilities of city staff, which would include reviewing these proposals, design review, there's going to be construction oversight, and then there's going to be continued or perpetual maintenance considerations that we would have to consider. Past MOUs, for example, for the turf, which have been extended over time, did outline ongoing maintenance responsibilities that Little League has taken on. And so those are things that do need to get hashed out in more detail, but that's a bit of a general overview of what it would include.
Okay, thanks. Great.
Elka?
Yeah, I wanted to thank Mark. He actually took me on a tour this afternoon and explained everything to me. And I have to say that Clark Field hasn't changed a lot since I used to go and watch games there many, many years ago. And it's definitely in need of some improvements and upgrades. And I think they have a really good plan to kind of enhance the player experience and the spectator experience. I wanted to ask, have you secured any type of funding yet? I mean, is the word out, or are you going to wait till the MOU has been finalized?
Yeah, so we have secured a portion, a small portion. We've got enough money to kind of begin on some of the soft costs that are going to be required here. But as far as it'll be a combination of community-wide, this is our vision, this is what's happening, and if you want to be involved, please reach out so that we can talk to you. Effort, as well as some very pointed, we have a target list of what folks with means that could write some very large checks if they were well motivated and wanted to be a part of Hermosa history.
And you were also talking to me that some of the maintenance would be less. Is that kind of the case for city staff?
Yeah, Joe could speak way better to that than I can. But as of right now, with the dirt field, when we're in season, there's a lot of watering that goes on almost every evening to keep the dirt playable, soft, so that kids aren't getting road rash every time that they hit a double. So the turf would eliminate probably 90% of that water requirement, it becomes a lot more just brooming and sweeping up the turf on a fairly regular basis.
I'll say that there may end up being less maintenance, but I don't know if that's not our focus. There's one part of the maintenance that the asphalt right now is crumbling, and there's a lot of pits where water collects, and even right before a game, it can be pretty nasty because the water sits in those potholes for a few days, and trash gets in them and everything. So we would like to end up with a less maintenance in totality, but I would just say it's hard to say, well, this is exactly what's going to happen here, and this is exactly what's going to happen there. And I think Public Works would be clear that they don't want anything that takes more maintenance. So.
Yeah, and then I just had a question for Joe. I saw that the Clark Stadium bleachers were on the deferred and unfunded future project list, and the estimated cost was $1.5 million to $2 million, whereas in your report, they were only $20,000 each for each of the fields. How do you explain that discrepancy?
I'd be happy to. Thank you, Commissioner Warner. So they are completely separate efforts. So currently, as proposed, Little League is not envisioning touching the concrete bleachers that are behind the stadium. Those bleachers, should we modify them, would need to bring them up to current standards, and they do not meet current accessibility requirements. And so once we look at touching the concrete structure, we're looking at ramping and major modifications. So I think the very rough order of magnitude costs that we have in the unfunded, unprogrammed projects for the bleachers, it's very rough, but I think it would be a substantial cost to upgrade the concrete bleachers themselves. But that would have to advance in the future as a separate project.
So it's a separate project from the bleachers that you want closer to the field?
Exactly.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I had one other question. How long do you expect, this work to go on? How many months? Would it be a year? When could the kids see a new field? So I know Little League is very eager to get going, but it's all going to depend on how quickly we still would have to go to Public Works Commission, should there be support from this commission, and go to City Council. Before City Council, staff would work with Little League on really fleshing out the details of an MOU that might spell out some more of the timeline. But this is a design review process, so I think I'm going to leave it to the motivation and fundraising ability of Little League. Are they able to raise the funds? Are they able to pull together a design team to meet all the city requirements in order for us to issue a permit and allow construction to occur in the public right-of-way?
This would need to be a complete package. So it's going to depend on a function of that speed and the city's ability to review it. Should that be able to move quickly? I don't see why it couldn't be something that's completed in 12 months time. I don't know, Jim, we've talked about it a little bit.
We've got 9 months. We've got 9 months to complete it. Once we have everything once we have everything together and we're ready to start swinging hammers, we're going to have to time it. There's a needle that we'll need to thread to make sure that the aspects that would impact the actual play and games that start in the first weekend of March each year would not be impacted. So we sort of loosely envision everything's good to go. We start swinging hammers the day after closing day in June, and with having buy-in from construction, public works, everybody, with a timeline that shows the playable areas that we need for games would be able to be completed by March 1st of the following calendar year.
So that's basically 9 months.
If I could, actually, I'm sorry, folks. Thank you. I was going to say my 12 months could just be design development and review and permitting. So I think that process could take time. And like I said, it really depends on how quickly those detailed plans come together and how quickly the approvals can be issued. Then we will have to work out as well in this MOU when are there windows of opportunity to do that construction because of all the various uses. So at this point, I know there's eagerness on Little League to advance, but those details definitely need to be worked out so that we can come up and develop that schedule that meets all parties.
And we're on the same page here. If everything goes great with tonight's meeting and Public Works Commission meeting and we've got everybody's support, I think the soonest that we could get this on City Council agenda is January, February, I can't remember. It was definitely Q1. And then there's conversations that need to happen there before an MOU is actually blessed and, signed. And at that point, we need fundraising, we need planning. There's no way that we get everything ready to go by June 1 of this year. So we just need to, at this point, we're just doing everything we can to advance this process in a very tangible manner. And this meeting and discussion I'm not sure what step we're on right now, but this is a key step to the advancement of the effort here.
Did you have something?
I think just one thought from up here is obviously we have a lot of ideas for potential scope, and as this thing proceeds, hopefully there will be opportunities for the public and this commission, right, to review a prioritized scope so we understand, what and provide feedback on that scope at some point in the future. Right.
Great. All right, just a few questions here. You said softball. You're talking about adult softball, not girls softball.
Yes, men's softball is our primary concern. But to Jim's point, we haven't hosted girls softball at Clark Field for a number of years since as a kind of a standard part of our season, and part of this would give us the ability to host beach softball games at Clark Field as well, provided that the game schedule permits.
Great. So just want to go over the timeline one more time. So the MOU clears us, Public Works, and goes to the council. Are we saying that they have to have the funding to sign the MOU? The whole funding thing gets a little gray.
So, no, thank you, Chairperson. So after tonight, we would bring this item to Public Works Commission to get more input. And then depending on the input from the two commissions, should there be support from both commissions, staff would then work collectively with Little League and legal to develop this MOU in much more detail so that we could have a working draft to present to City Council with commission's input and the draft MOU for further consideration. The schedule going forward, like I said, is very tentative and has a lot of factors that could impact it. fundraising potential, design development, and review and approvals, and so on, and then scheduling when construction could happen. And we're hoping to get a lot of that worked out. We're not going to be requiring funding at the time of MOU approval. However, the MOU would indicate that HBLL would be responsible for all costs associated with the project. And I think what we had mentioned earlier is the potential for the MOU to include the ability for them to, I guess, design and build up to the totality of the scope of work, but leaving some leeway should they need to peel off an earlier phase if fundraising does not meet the goals that they're looking for the whole project. So it could be something where a first phase gets peeled off, but the MOU would be structured to allow a smaller portion of the work to go forward.
All right, and are they taking anything off of our to-do list with that, the area in front of the snack stand? We were working on that, correct?
There is, in front of the snack stand, there is some paving. The whole loop road does need resurfacing, and so I think what this project would do would take care of the resurfacing need. And they are looking at the potential for permeable pavement. That does require some engineering study to see how well it would work. We don't currently have any good drainage infrastructure on that loop road, so this would address one current issue
Right.
that the city has,
Okay.
or two.
All right, and I had one more question, but I can't remember what it was. So, but you had me at Wrigley Field, just saying. Great. Lisa, at this point, what is our responsibility to do here?
Really just to hear the presentation, provide any input you have on the project, and demonstrate if the commission supports
Okay.
advancing this into an MOU.
Do we have to open this to public
Yes,
comment?
we do.
So sorry. Thank you, Galen.
This is the time for members of the public to address the commission on this item only. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. We will begin with members of the public wishing to provide comments in our chamber, if any.
Thank you.
I will now go over to Zoom. I'm not seeing any hands raised at this time.
Yeah. All right, well,
I'll make a motion.
okay.
Make a motion that we recommend the city council advance an MOU with Hermosa Beach Little League to advance Clark Field improvements that are expected to be funded, designed, and constructed by Hermosa Beach Little League.
I'll second.
Voting is now open. Voting is now closed. Motion carries unanimously.
Give him a gavel. No disruption in the room, please. Congratulations. All right. Next, approval of the new 2025 Special Event Amateur Athlete Union High School Boys Beach Volleyball League matches. Austin, welcome.
Good evening, Chair Alman and Commissioners. Austin Dewey, Special Events and Filming Coordinator on behalf of staff, recommends the Parks, Recreation, and Community Resources Advisory Commission to consider recommending approval to City Council of one new Impact Level 2 special event to the 2025 special events calendar. Next slide. AAU requests approval to hold AAU High School Boys Beach Volleyball League on the volleyball courts north of the pier on Sunday, October 12th, 2025. The event would include boys high school volleyball matches, including Maricosta, Redondo, Peninsula, Palos Verdes, Crossroads, Campbell Hall, Harbor Westlake, Viewpoint, Wildwood, Torrance, Wiseburn, Da Vinci, South Torrance, and Crespi High School. Additional high schools would include Brentwood, Crescenta Valley, Palisades, Venice, Malibu, Village Christian, and Notre Dame High School. The event producer anticipates up to 150 participants and 100 spectators. There would be no participant fees, and the event would be free for all to attend. Additional event details are included in the AAU High School Boys Beach Volleyball League Overview, Attachment 3. Next slide. On the slide before you and within the event overview sheet attached to your staff report is the site map. The event will utilize all 16 volleyball courts north of the pier. No additional courts will be installed. There would be no fenced-in areas. Next slide. Traditionally, new events require review and recommendation from the Commission to City Council through a public hearing, and applications must be submitted at least 90 days in advance. Due to the late submission and addressing scheduling conflicts with the initial requested dates, staff was unable to meet the formal public noticing requirements for public hearing. At the discretion of the Community Resources Director, special event applications may be submitted for consideration after the application submittal deadline has passed, provided it meets all late submission requirements. The event producer was able to provide justification for the late submission. Next slide. If the event is recommended for approval, staff would present the Commission's recommendation on the Impact Level 2 new 2020-25 special event to City Council at its September 30th, 2025 meeting for review and formal action. This concludes my staff report. We have requested the event producer to be in attendance should the Commission have any questions, and staff is available to assist with questions as well.
Would the event producer like to come forward and discuss this new event? Welcome, Denny.
Good evening.
So this is a new idea. You want to share where this came from?
Well, it's not necessarily a new idea of high school beach volleyball, because there's, maybe 6-7 years ago, we started girls portion of it, which once it reached 120 schools, then the CIF becomes the sanctioning body for it. But the reason this came up a little late was at our national championships, our executive committee that runs all the volleyball for the AAU attended, and we're really impressed with both the city, the event, and the like, and they wanted to see how they could support it, and we mentioned that our initiative was to get more boys playing. And so they went back and then approved that to us, and so that's why we kind of came in late, because once they returned from Hermosa Beach, they convened and then gave us a directive to initiate high school boys beach volleyball. So that's basically how this, there has been high school boys beach volleyball in the past run by other organizations, but ours has been able to get it going pretty quickly, I think based on our reputation and also the brand of the AAU. And so we have the schools that Austin mentioned immediately signed up for participating in this.
Great. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, can I just clarify on that? So right now, boys high school beach volleyball is not CIF sanctioned or run, so it's left to organizations like AAU and others to basically hold matches between high schools.
Correct.
Right? Okay.
So some are a little more organized than others. You know, there's some up north, down south. They tend to, they work it out the best they can with the resources they have. We're fortunate in that we have a strong organization behind us, and also, places like Hermosa Beach that have enough courts. And then we, of course, have been in the game a while, so we know how to organize the competition.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of my questions was just trying to understand the relationship between this event, the Grand Prix Series events, and the IBVL. I know you're not part of the organization, but I know it's a recurring event on our calendar of youth volleyball. So if you have any information about, or could share, certainly about AAU's Grand Prix, but also the IBVL, that'd be great.
Yeah, so the Grand Prix events are called the Southern Pacific Grand Prix. That's the district for the Amateur Athletic Union that's out here. The AAU nationally is made up of 55 districts. And so the Southern Pacific District, one of its largest ones, is what's out here. And those are all of the events that take place that kind of like qualify towards our national championships or some of the events that take place on our big national championship week. This is a little different in that it's scholastic, right? And scholastic based, of course, so these would be all teams that would play similar to a club format where you have 3 teams versus 3 teams or 5 versus 5. So it would be similar in nature to that, just like college plays. And this initiative, the reason we like this a lot is it's going to get more boys involved that normally wouldn't. A lot of times they're kind of a little bit on the outside of it because there's no club beach volleyball for boys that gets them easily involved in the sport. But now they have a point to go to their athletic director and the volleyball coach in order to get involved. And this, I think, will really help more boys, get an opportunity to play and then participate in some of our district events, which is like those the Grand Prix series, and ultimately, hopefully, in our national championships. IBVL is completely separate from what we do.
Okay. Am I correct in my understanding that at the collegiate level, boys beach volleyball or men's beach volleyball is not a collegiate sport? Maybe it's a club sport or something like that, but...
Correct. It's mostly a club sport. There are some smaller colleges that field teams, but it's fair to say, for the most part, those are club sports. But fingers crossed, at some point they move football into its own and open up some scholarships, and boys can get to play, or men play NCAA would be nice.
I don't know if, Austin, do you have any information on this IBVL and what that is relative to, like, are those high school teams just like this thing's proposed? Do we know what that is?
Good question.
Yeah, so IBVL is youth volleyball that's not linked to high schools, so it's going to be other clubs and organizations within it. It is a bit complex in terms of the event format with different divisions and teams participants that I can provide later, but that's the info I have right now.
Anything, Tracy?
No, I like the idea. Thank you for putting it in late summer in October. That's nice. And I think you might be the only event producer to give us a QR code. So thank you for that.
Oh, look at us. Okay.
So advanced. Elka?
Does this mean that all these high schools, do they send one doubles team, or do they have several teams that play?
Right.
What's that going to look like?
Yeah, they would have 3 teams. At the varsity level, they'd have 3 teams, so 6 players that would come, and then they would play another, and they're broken up into leagues. And then we also offer like JV level, anybody that isn't good enough for that, to play. And what we do is we use the open course just to put them in more of a traditional like pairs tournament, right? So that way that there's somewhat of a feeder program for the high schools to develop those younger players that aren't good enough to be on the varsity quite yet. So that's how we would utilize the courts.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Great. I'm thrilled to see this, and also the fact that, as Commissioner Horowitz said, that would love to see this in October when things are a little more settled.
And if I may, in the future, like it really the scope of the league goes from September and October for the most part, and we're just patching together some of the other courts we can get, from other communities this year, and we're hopeful to make a proper calendar for next year because we'd like to do as many as possible in Hermosa Beach. I think it serves all properties well. This is, like we deal with different beaches, and this city is by far the most efficient to deal with, and also I think it's the best received by the people that come here. And I think it also benefits local business when these families come here to watch their play and spend time here.
I'm going to have you repeat that. Efficient. Way to go, Ms. Nichols. All right, Kaylin, do you want to open this up to public comment?
This is the time for members of the public to address the commission on this item only. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. We'll begin with members of the public wishing to provide comments in our chambers. If there are none, we'll move to virtual public comment. If you're joining the meeting by phone, please remember to dial *9 to unmute yourself and *6 to raise your hand. Seeing no virtual hands raised.
All right, I'll bring this back. Does anyone want to make a motion?
Well, I did want to make a comment.
Okay.
I know you both mentioned thanking them for having it in October and September, but I did actually kind of did some analysis, right? And one of my concerns is how often are we blocking the volleyball courts near the pier for the general public to use, right?
Okay.
September, October are great months weather-wise. And I actually did some analysis, looking at our past special events from this year and looking forward to next year. And there's 2 months this year where we exceeded 50% of the weekend and holiday days. The volleyball courts were unavailable to the public, right? And by adding this onto the October schedule, that means there's only five weekend days the courts are booked, 3 weekend days the courts are available. So we're kind of over what I would think 50% feels to me for whatever reason like the right level of, hey, public, no, you can't use these courts. I'm a member of several groups and I know others, people who get together, every Saturday play volleyball, right? So I just, I wanted to put that out there because I think it is something to think about when we think about new events, especially if it's going to be a recurring event, that we have our public volleyball courts available to the public for some level of.
Well, we do have 74 courts in this city. You're just talking about this specific
Correct.
area.
Yeah, the ones immediately near the pier.
And I think for me, I would just say that if we didn't have all the other courts, I might agree with you. But because we have so many courts here in Hermosa, that and the volleyball use subcommittee is working diligently to be sure that those are truly open to all. But I do think we have a lot of courts here that
And
there's a place for this.
We do, and in the great weather months like this month and the coming months, every weekend at 8 a.m. if you're not on a court, you won't get one until 11:30 noon when people leave. Even on those 74, at least from my personal experience, 17th Street South, because a couple of groups I've been with, we don't got a court, we got to find one, and if we're not out there at 7:30 or 8, they're in use.
It's a valid comment.
You're
Other
limiting
thoughts?
this to north of the pier?
Correct.
Okay, and the south side?
We have classes on the south side, Saturdays and Sunday mornings, adult classes, and youth, I think, too.
All right.
Well, I'd like to make a motion
Thank
that
you.
we approve the recommendation of I'm on the wrong thing. Adding the event for the AAU High School Boys Volleyball League matches on October 12th.
I'll second that motion.
Voting is now open. Voting's now closed. Motion carries unanimously.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next, consideration of the 2025 special event fee waiver grant request. Austin, you're at it again.
Austin Dewey, Special Events and Filming Coordinator, on behalf of staff, recommends the Parks, Recreation, and Community Resources Advisory Commission consider approval of the fee waiver grant request for Hope Chapel for the Hope Chapel picnic on Sunday, October 12th, 2025, in the total amount of $1,681 as proposed in the staff report. Next slide. At its January 14th, 2025 meeting, City Council designated a maximum of $5,000 in fee waiver grants for the 2025 calendar year. At its April 1st, 2025 meeting, Commission approved a fee waiver grant amount of $288 for SoCal Beach Foundation. As of today's meeting, staff has received one new fee waiver grant application from Hope Chapel for consideration. Next slide. Hope Chapel Picnic is on Sunday, October 12th, and will include food, activities, and games for all ages. The event producer has completed the fee waiver grant application, and from staff review, the application meets all eligibility requirements. The total amount requested would be applied to a portion of the daily event indirect fee. Staff would like to also note the event was last held in 2022 and canceled the past 2 years by Hope Chapel. Next slide. The current fee waiver grant balance is $4,712. Should the commission approve the fee waiver grant request of $1,681, the remaining fee waiver grant balance would be $3,031. To note, the event producer was recommended to be in attendance today to answer any questions you may have regarding the fee waiver grant request. Staff are also available to answer any questions the commission may have. Thank you.
All right, is Joey here?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can now. Hello, Joey.
Hello?
Kaylin?
Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, that's weird. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on. Good evening. It's always a pleasure to be with you guys. I hope you're well. Thanks for staying up this late to consider us for a possible fee reduction. My name is Joey, and I'm from Hope Chapel. Some of you guys may know us. Some of you guys may not. We're that church on the corner of PCH and Artesia. And like Austin said, as you guys are probably very aware of, the fee system and nonprofit help has changed a bit over the years and what has been allowed. And it has impacted us for the past couple of years on being able to throw the picnic. It adds I believe the fee is about over $4,000. So just to throw a picnic, it's about $10,000 for a church picnic, which is a lot for us. So we just wanted to come forward as a nonprofit and see if we could take advantage of any sort of fee waiver that would be available to us. As far as benefit to the community, some of you guys may know us. Some of you just very quickly, we consider ourselves a little tiny like heartbeat in the center of Hermosa, just one of many. We're the only food bank in Hermosa Beach, California. That may sound unimpressive because Hermosa Beach is so small. But there's a lot of churches. And so we are proud. And when I say food bank, I don't mean like pantry. I mean, we feed hundreds of people in Hermosa Beach a week, thousands a year. So we do that here in Hermosa. We also clothe people, toiletries people. If you're legitimately looking for help and you come to me at Hope Chapel, I can give you directly to a social worker who will get you a place and who will get you hooked up with government subsidies and things of that nature. So due to all those things, we have a lot of diversity that we bring into the city. We also have over 1,000 people spread out over services a week that attend Hope Chapel. And then throughout that week for our singles mothers drop-off programs, women's programs, men's programs, retreats for youth, all that kind of normal stuff. But on top of the personal kind of enrichment that we like, we also care about the city a lot. And so that's why we've done things like, purposefully picked Lazy Acres to lease to and to bring in that kind of high-end business traffic into the community. And that kind of income has allowed us to upgrade those businesses along Prospect and Artesia, which have now attracted some pretty cool businesses as well. And so whatever we get, we give. And so we have budgets, and we're kind of in a situation here where if I just put all of the cards on the table, this wouldn't cancel our picnic if we weren't able to do it. It would just handicap it a bit. We wouldn't be able to do some of the stuff we would like to do. This is a chance for the community that does attend to actually meet each other, because all of these people go to different services, never get the chance to mingle, and we would just like to bring the city together. It's also available to everyone, and everything's available to everyone. So if you're walking by Alley Park and you want a hot dog, it's totally free. If you want your kids to hang out in the bounce houses and jump for a while, please. If you want to join the basketball tournament, it's open. We're hoping to get Kona Ice. That's one of the things would be free to the community for 2 hours. All you can drink, I guess would be the appropriate thing. But that would be if we were able to get a waiver. So really, it's just going to impact how much we can give to the city. It won't really impact, frankly, if we have the event or not. So that's what we're requesting. And we do believe that we offer a solution and hope to the city of Hermosa. And so we just thought we would apply where applicable.
Great, thank you, Joey. If you'll
Sorry.
hold on for a moment, I'm sure there'll be some questions for you.
Yeah.
No? Okay.
I just have one question. In your application, Joey, you said that people, or you're suggesting that people walk down to the park, but then I also saw that you had a shuttle, and I'm kind of
Yes.
wondering how often that shuttle will go back and forth. You know, is it going to be every hour? What kind of service?
So it's kind of sparsely used. What we do is basically everyone uses our parking lot and just walks down to Valley Park. But we do have some elderly and handicapped and people of that nature who, so it's not often or by hour. It's kind of by as we can fill up the bus. It's a little 15-passenger van. So you would have to wait kind of until it filled up and then be taken down. If the wait was that long, they may opt to be dropped off by a family member, and then the family member just parks at church and walks down. We also are buying some parking spots and some disabled spots for rent to hopefully mitigate the shuttle. So the shuttle is kind of a thing that we do just for elderly, handicapped, but it's just very sparsely used.
So it's not going to be a regular, every 20 minutes there'll be a shuttle
No.
leaving? Okay,
No.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, well, Joey, you haven't had it for a while, but when the picnic has been at the park, it's always been impressive how open you are to anyone and everyone that spends time at the park. You were true to your word. The food truck, are we going to talk about that now, or is this just going to be about the waiver?
So we don't have a food truck happening. We're just grilling hot dogs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe you're thinking about what we'd like to do is get Kona Ice for 2 hours, park it literally for the entire community, and it's an all-you-can-eat for anybody for 2 hours. That's kind of our goal.
Okay.
But we'd only be able to do that if we got the waiver. so
Got it.
kind of just what we can, like I said, what we give is what we'll, or what we get is what we'll give, and that's kind of where we're at with it.
Well, it's always been great to see. I've gone down to the park, and it's been very, very popular. And like I said, you're true to your word. Everyone has been welcomed. Lisa, the waiver, as it falls within the rules of what we set up, last year, how much money did we spend on waivers?
Let me go ahead and pull up that information.
We haven't gone past our budget.
No, last year it was about 4,500.
Okay, and so far, this waiver, is this the first one we will have done?
This is the second. The
The
first
sec-
was for SoCal Beach Foundation for $288.
Okay. Well, I don't have a problem with this. Hope Chapel has been a good neighbor, and like I said, they've followed through with everything we've asked, and I've always been grateful for that. Do we want to open this up for public comment, Kaylin?
This is the time for members of the public to address the commission on this item only. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes, and we will begin with members of the public wishing to provide comments in our chamber. Seeing none, I'll move to virtual public comment. If you're joining the meeting by phone, please remember to dial *9 to unmute yourself and *6 to raise your virtual hand. And I'm not seeing any hands raised.
All right, I'll bring this back. Does anyone want to make a motion?
Can I ask one question first?
Absolutely.
Lisa, if we do approve the fee waiver and the picnic does cancel, obviously we haven't spent that money, but would there be time then to allocate it for another event? Who might ask?
Of course, it would just go back into the fee waiver grant balance.
Okay. And I guess just a process question. It feels like we get the fee waiver request. Sometimes we get groups of them and sometimes they come in one by, is there any rhyme or reason as to how or why?
No, because they're by request only. So
Okay.
every event producer is required to read through the special events policy guide, which covers the fee waiver grant program, and they can request it at any time.
At any time. Okay, thanks.
Well, I'm sorry, not at any time. I believe they have to get their application in 90 or 60 days in advance.
Before their event?
Yes, so that we have time to bring it to the commission.
Got it.
Regarding the fee waiver balance that we have, is that calendar year or fiscal year?
It is calendar year.
Okay. And then Austin, I had a question about this event. It's level 2. I was trying to figure out why. I guess, is that because they're doing it on a Saturday? Is it Saturday, Sunday? It's a weekend day? And because they asked for amplified sound? Or is those the 2 criteria that make it level 2? Or am I missing something?
Yes, it's impact level 2. Yeah, because they're going to have amplified sound and it is on a weekend day, so that meets the 2 or more applicable elements for an impact level 2.
Okay, thanks.
Great.
I'll make a motion to approve the special fee waiver grant request for Hope Chapel for their community picnic.
I'll second it.
Voting is now open. Voting is now closed. Motion carries unanimously.
Perfect. All right.
Thank you, commissioners. Thank you very much, Austin and Lisa.
Great. We'll see you there.
That'd be great. Bye, guys.
All right. Now we're going to move on to approval of the 2026 returning impact level 3 special events. Kaylin.
Thank you, Chair Ellman. Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. I'll just wait. Give me one moment. We had some technical difficulties over here with Zoom. It crashed on us, so Brian's just going to pull up the presentation really quickly. Thank you, Brian. Kaylin Kamerly, Lead Special Events and Filming Coordinator, giving tonight's report. This item is staff's recommendation to recommend approval of 3 returning events to the 2026 special events calendar and 2 nothing weekends. Before I dive into the report further, Lisa would like to acknowledge a potential conflict with a few dates.
So today, upon further review of the requested event dates by CBVA, we believe that the event producer has made an error in its request. Typically, CBVA has the Saturday and Sunday prior to Labor Day, and they utilize Schumacher Plaza for a sponsorship activation. And we received requests this year that for next year that aren't in line with this year or previous year's request, because the event producer is actually requesting the Saturday and Sunday prior to Labor Day weekend, what would essentially be Labor Day weekend. So therefore, we did build our nothing weekends around what was available in the calendar. And my belief is that the event producer meant to request in 2026, September 4th through the 6th, which conflicts with the the nothing weekend days that we have suggested being September 5th through the 6th. And so therefore, we wanted to make sure that commission knew this for the discussion tonight, and a potential consideration for the commission could be to allow staff in your motion, if you are to approve the returning event CBVA, to allow staff to determine the second nothing weekend based on what actual weekend CBVA is requesting in 2026. It sounds very confusing, and I'm trying very hard to simplify this, but essentially we believe the event producer requested a weekend earlier than it has historically had in 2026. So they're requesting some dates in August, when in reality they usually would have the weekend that follows, which would put them in early September this year, because they usually request Labor Day weekend, and they gave a request for a weekend earlier. And so
Labor
our-
Day weekend is late next year. It's a
Right.
later.
Labor Day is September 7th. So typically, our nothing weekend that we would be requesting to the commission is the weekend prior to Labor Day weekend, because historically CBVA would be on Labor Day weekend.
And we haven't been able to get hold of the event
This
producer?
came to light today, where we recognize that we realize this is an error on the event producer's requested event date. So we have not been able to clarify this with the event producer. So that's why we wanted to make sure the commission knew and suggest maybe in consideration in your motion to determine the second nothing weekend based on resolving this conflict with the event producer.
So we're going to delay approving the event producer tonight because he's not here. We don't want to assume that that's going to work.
You could consider in your motion that the nothing weekend either be the weekend before Labor Day weekend or Labor Day weekend pending confirmation of the actual requested event date.
And the
from
weekend
event
before is
producer.
available right now?
Yes.
But
There would
that
be no
would-
conflict. It would be aligned to what was approved in 2025 and previous years.
So looking at the special event calendar for 2026, it's tentatively scheduled that CBVA would be August 28th through the 30th, but you think those dates would get moved to the September date, and you'd move the Do Nothing weekend to those August dates, but then they are consecutive with the other Do Nothing weekend? They'd be back to back?
No, they would not. So right now, if what I believe is true, I believe that that CBVA meant to request September 4th through the 6th. And so if that is true, then we would be recommending the nothing weekend be October 29th through the 30th.
October?
I'm sorry, August 29th through the 30th.
But right now you have the Nothing weekend, August 22nd, 23rd, and then,
I'm sorry, you're right.
and then it would be, and that was part of what I was gonna
Yes, I'm
ask
sorry,
about.
yes.
Because usually they're spread out a
There's
little bit
June, yes.
more.
So yeah, sorry, this literally just came to our attention during this meeting. So
No, that's okay.
We're working through it because we want to
No,
try to avoid.
I don't think you're
that-
wrong.
Yeah,
But I think there's two things
Yeah,
happening. I think
yes.
there is the question about CBVA's date.
right.
But there's also and I don't want to hijack this part of it, but my concern about the Nothing weekends being,
Yes.
my first concern was that they were so close together. And now my concern would be that they're actually back to back. And because typically our Nothing weekends are earlier in the summer, they're in June and August.
Yes, and this year, I'm sorry,
There.
for next year,
They're August and August.
yes. And that is because of, I'm trying to.
Well,
put
the
the
calendar's a little more
together.
funky in 2026 in this
Right.
regard.
Yeah.
So it, a lot of these recurring events, it kind of causes some shifting. But there are dates available, June 6th and 7th, 2026. There's a pending event that could decide not to do. We also could we proceed with the non-CBVA events alone and
Come
follow
back.
up with CBVA after? I don't know.
That way we can get the people that are in the room.
What we could do too is we could, the special event policy guide only calls for us to have one nothing weekend. So we can approve one of the nothing weekends this evening, and we can return with consideration of a second nothing weekend once we are able to confirm the event producer's requested event dates.
Okay, I like that idea. You're going to hold those dates, though, so that we don't have to worry about that, because we have a whole month to go before we would revisit this.
That's correct, because we're not approving any impact level 2 event dates this
Okay.
evening. We're literally only considering CBVA, SmackFest, and You Are Enough.
Okay. Well, why don't, can we let the people that are here, okay, so we're going to move on then to, who else is here? Sorry.
Did you want me to finish the the presentation, skipping
Oh,
CBVA.
sorry. Oh, did you want to do your job?
Yeah,
Fine.
yeah, if you want me to.
Thank you.
Okay, so skipping over CBVA, the second event is SmackFest, a co-ed 4-on-4 volleyball tournament. Following staff and the commission's recommendations from last year's event, this event is to take place on the north side of the pier, which provides for a larger event footprint to accommodate the anticipated attendance. Next slide. This is just their site map they provided. Next slide. The third event is You Are Enough 5K, which is a walk/run in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month in May. This event takes place on Schumacher Plaza and the Strand north of the pier. The event producer is requesting for its event to take place on the last Saturday of May to allow for extended marketing throughout May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month for the event. All event producers have been asked to attend tonight's meeting should the commission have any event-related questions. Next slide. Lastly, are the proposed nothing weekends for 2026. In alignment with the special events policy guide, the city schedules at least one nothing weekend annually to ensure that during peak season, between Memorial Day and Labor Day, the community has at least one weekend free from special events, which we have discussed, and the recommended nothing weekend dates are August 22nd through the 23rd for now. Next slide. If all events are recommended for approval, staff would present the commission's recommendations on the impact level 3 returning 2026 special events to City Council at its October 14th, 2025 meeting for review and formal action. This does conclude my verbal, and staff are available for any questions.
Okay, so SmackFest, come on up. Nice shirt, Bill.
I was coaching baseball tonight. Sorry, I was a little late.
Oh, not at all. Yeah. So last year you did well. Not really last year, the last event.
Yeah, a few months ago.
Yeah. I'm going to challenge to see if we can get someone to figure out how we can find some different costumes. Those tutus are getting a little worn.
They get creative every year. It's pretty fun.
Does anyone have any questions for Bill?
That was easy.
See, that was easy. No, it was great, and we didn't have problems this time. The cleanup was great, and thank you very much.
Well, yeah, I wanted to thank you guys for always supporting the event. It's a great locals event. It's really become an amazing happening for locals mostly. So appreciate all of the work you guys have helped, to allow us to do that every year.
Excellent.
I don't have any questions. People look forward to it every year. It's fun.
Yeah. As I said, it's kind of become more of a family event now too. 10 years ago was a little different, but now we're all older. We all have young kids. So, in fact, it was kind of interesting. The team that won the pro division were sons of guys who had won the pro division 15 years ago. So,
what goes around
and they're
comes
16th
around.
Street guys, Normie and some of your boys,
Excellent.
Chris Hanneman. So it's fun to see that.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Well, thanks for showing up. I know it was a long night.
that's all right. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Okay. Can we do these all at one time? Is that okay? That way? Yeah. Okay. So, Kathy, do you want to come up and share your information about You Are Enough?
Hi, everybody. Good to see you. So the event this year, it does feel like it was last year, doesn't it? It does for me. It went really, really well. Had a couple hiccups. The big hiccup was Public Works didn't know I was coming, didn't know what I needed, so we scrambled and made things work. Also capped it off at 500 people, and I had tons of people, easily 100 people wanting to still get in, and I had to say, sorry. So I'm learning about how this event's growing and getting a lot more folks throughout LA County coming to Hermosa Beach, which is fantastic. So the event's grown from a local, organic event to becoming an LA event. So I'm really excited about that. And raise the amount of folks I'd like to get just because of what happened this year. It felt bad, and having to turn people away. So I'm excited about the growth and where we can go with it for Hermosa Beach and for LA. So.
All right. Any questions for Kathy?
Is this your 4th year?
It'd be my 4th year. Yeah. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. Thank you. No, it's been fun. It's just this again. The energy at this event it's just amazing. People coming together and saying, "I see you. I got you." So
Perfect.
we're good. So
True
thank
to
you
your
for
word.
help. Pardon?
True to your word. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And the other, I'm sorry, the nothing weekend. So we've decided that we're going to wait.
Well, we're going to go with what's in the
Right.
policy guide, or I don't know where it's documented. I forget what you said, but August 22nd, 23rd will be the
And we'll do that one, and then we'll.
confirmed nothing
Okay.
weekend, and perhaps we'll
See
come
what-
around and add another one
Add
after
another-
when CBVA comes around again.
Yes. Okay. Kaylin, do you want to open this up to public comment?
This is the time for members of the public to address the commission on this item only. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes, and we'll begin with members of the public wishing to provide comments in our chamber. Seeing none, we'll move to virtual public comment. If you're joining the meeting by phone, please remember to dial *9 to unmute yourself and *6 to raise your hand. We're not seeing any virtual hands raised at this time.
Okay. So we're going to come back with a motion that we have one nothing weekend, and then we're going to come back and work with CBVA next month. Is that where we want the motion to go?
Well, it's up to the commission, but yeah, the commission could consider postponing making a recommendation on CBVA and a second nothing weekend to our October meeting.
Okay.
And that would give staff time to determine the accurate.
And then the event planner doesn't have to worry for the next month.
Right, we'll keep
Okay.
the dates on the calendar.
Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like giving the event planner's assurance is worth the inefficiency of two separate, things we'll send up to council.
Correct. All right. It's a tough motion. Anyone want to go for it?
Well, I can try. I'd like to make a motion that we recommend approval of the returning impact level 3 special events, SmackFest and the URNF 5K, and approving a one Do Nothing weekend, August 22nd and 23rd.
Excellent. Second?
Sure, I'll second it.
Voting is now open. Voting is now closed. Motion carries unanimously.
Great. Thank you, Kaylin. All right. So next, we're going to review the revised long-term agreement application from the Association of Volleyball Professionals for AVP Junior National Championship and the Pro Heritage Series. Lisa.
Thank you, Chair Ellman. We do have an update on this item tonight. We do not foresee a discussion or a motion on this item. Today, September 2nd, AVP informed staff of its request to withdraw its revised long-term agreement application with the request to add on the Pro Heritage Series alongside its junior volleyball tournament. AVP has informed staff that the request was made in hopes that AVP and the current event producer of the Hermosa Beach Open could reach an agreement to partner to host a professional adult volleyball tournament in the month of July. Currently, the Hermosa Beach Open is produced by Day at the Beach Events in September. The two organizations did not reach mutually agreeable terms, so that's what AVP had shared with us. So AVP has requested that they withdraw this application. They're not currently interested in hosting its own professional adult volleyball tournament if the Hermosa Beach Open continues to take place as a separate event by a separate event producer. So again, therefore, there is no recommendation or discussion to be had on this item, and staff would uphold the commission's previous recommendation pertaining to the junior volleyball tournaments that was made at the July 1st meeting and advance that to City Council. We have asked the event representative from AVP to be here tonight if they wish to say anything additional on this message, and we've also informed the event producer of the Hermosa Beach Open should they wish to say anything additional as well on this update. So we wouldn't necessarily open it up to public comment. It's up to the commission if you'd like to hear from AVP and Day at the Beach events.
So, Todd, do you have, I'm just going to go down the way here.
Well, I guess AVP still is interested in holding the juniors tournament in July. Is that correct?
Yes, everything we discussed at our July meeting stands true.
And is what we discussed at our July meeting revisable at this point?
No, we
With
couldn't.
this
We wouldn't
agenda
be
item?
able to
No.
make a recommendation to change that. Because this was a completely separate recommendation only pertaining to AVP.
Well, what, our recommendation from the previous meeting, as it pertains to AVP only, could we revise that, the AVP-specific recommendation that we made in the last meeting?
No, because this was specifically towards AVP's Pro Heritage Series. If we were willing to add in that event into our recommendation for City Council to allow us to negotiate for that as well, in addition to the junior.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the, remember the dates we offered them in 2026, and if we have an interest in a second do-nothing weekend, we gave them extra days for their juniors tournaments that we could claw back, but I guess we can't do that. If that's what AVP's position on the pro is, then I guess that's what it is. I certainly would be open to hearing directly from them, but.
Tracy, do you have any thoughts? Or questions, I should say?
I don't have any questions. If the event, if AVP is here and wants, here virtually, and wants to say something, I'd be open to hearing it, but I don't know that there's any discussion to be had. They've withdrawn their request. Everything from the July meeting stands. There's nothing to discuss, deliberate, question, so I could go either way.
Elka?
I just had a quick question about the Hermosa Beach Open.
Okay.
Was that kind of a last-minute thing too, or they were looking for something that was more local and smaller and kind of like the tournaments of the past? Is that kind of what happened with the...
With how the Hermosa Beach Open came to be?
Yeah.
That came to be because staff was unable to reach mutually agreeable dates to recommend for AVP to host the Hermosa Beach Open. Hermosa Beach Open, when AVP was hosting it, was very important that they had the early to mid-July timeframe, but we have the conflicting event date request from AVP, AAU, and JVA, BVCA, so we weren't able to find a way to accommodate all three organizations and a Hermosa Beach Open in the month of July. So therefore, Day at the Beach event submitted a request to host it, and it was ultimately approved by City Council, and they've now been serving as the host of the Hermosa Beach Open in September.
September 4th, right? Is that through the 7th, I think?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thursday through Sunday.
I think I made it pretty clear that AVP has disappointed me as a resident and as a commissioner a number of times, and this is really, really surprising. And I am hoping that the event producer is here and would have something to say online. And I don't want to put Mark on the spot, but if there's some light you could shed on what happened. I'm assuming this happened in the last couple days.
Good evening, Commission. Mark Pauloy from Hermosa Beach resident. Thank you for your guys' service up here, please. Thank you. And first, I'd like to thank Lisa and the team for probably about, 8-10 years of working with this program to bring it here to Hermosa Beach. in multiple times, most importantly for the last year and a half or so, doing a lot of work with this. So it's kind of disappointing at the same time that they pulled away from this. To be upfront in my position, I didn't really know it was we were trying to work something out, to be honest. I had a couple of conversations with them, but nowhere was I aware that we were trying to work something out to have them apply for this in any way, shape, or form. So that's kind of interesting to me. There's conversations about partnering and trying to figure out how we can do this so that the Hermosa Open can happen with all the pros and with the AVP support to the Hermosa Open. I did tell them that in my personal opinion, the Hermosa Open shouldn't happen in July. There's multiple international events that takes away from the top players in the world from participating in that event. In the last 10 years, they haven't had a full open or true open, meaning that they allow as many people to play and participate in the qualifier, a full main draw of at least 32 or more. And that's been the biggest thing about their part in hosting the Hermosa Open. The Hermosa Open is one of the largest or one of the most recognized event literally in the world with beach volleyball next to Manhattan Beach. And those two are literally the top events in the world. And so it's kind of disappointing, and it's kind of almost, it's upsetting as a community or as a beach volleyball fan that a event organizer would host the Hermosa Open in a time frame that would not be conducive to the best of the best being here, and hosting it as a full open, as a true open. And when the opportunity came up for them to step away at this, and the city council asked what it could take to do this, and I was more than happy to try to do my best to try to make the first year happen. And unfortunately for me, it was another 3 years that was thrown at this, but also always open to work with the AVP, and I've told that multiple times, so hopefully that we can figure something out sometime soon. But there's the other side of it, is that their focus and true focus is their league format, which is not conducive to being done at the beach. So that's the other question about the whole thing. So,
Thanks, Mark. Is AVP here?
We do have Al Lau on the line.
Great. Al, what happened?
Hello. Can everybody hear me?
We can hear you.
Great. I didn't know if you want to ask a question, or did you want me to actually just respond?
Well, we're just trying to figure out a lot of work went into this, and it's my understanding, I don't know when this happened, but I talked to Lisa this morning, and things were, I'm going to say they were fine, but we were on this timeline, and then all of a sudden this afternoon we're not. A lot of work went into the planning that staff goes into, to work out these, all the paperwork and the investigation that goes in to be sure that we're doing the correct thing for the city. So I'm just trying to understand what happened, because when you signed this, you were all in, and now you're not.
Yeah, so I think first comment is, I know that the email was shared, so we apologize that we actually didn't make the July meeting since we were traveling as part of the event and we were in New York, and we were unaware of that. So we sent a note and we apologize for that, because we understand everyone's time. And like referenced in the note, it's always difficult when we are, on the road for consecutive weeks. As it relates to Hermosa, I was not directly involved, so I can't speak directly, but there were conversations that took place between AVP on a corporate side with the current Hermosa operator about integrating an event. That conversation was approached, I believe, from the current operator to the AVP about working on a possibility of working together. As a result of those multiple conversations, that was why the AVP submitted that we would be open to the idea of running the event again. Over the weekend, there was a conversation, I guess, the communication with the current operator of the Hermosa event with AVP on a corporate side, and the resolution was that there wasn't a conversation about working together. Again, I was not part of those conversations. I am just here tonight because those conversations with our corporate office out of the East Coast. So the recap: the discussion started as an overture from the current operator to the AVP about working together. There were conversations, and there wasn't a resolution in terms of go forward. So as a result of that, I contacted Lisa this morning and saying that we can revert back to what we had currently discussed. It's always a little interesting from our perspective. I know people have different perspectives on this whole dynamic. Don't need to belabor it, but again, it's unfortunate that we can't seem to be able to hold an event in the way that makes the most sense for the AVP economically, as well as works best for our brand. And I continue to get that sense that people don't really understand that. Because I've sat in multiple calls, I've been on listening the whole night. It's very rare do I hear anyone actually ask or question how someone actually should do things. So I think that's actually always been frustrating. And I think that some of that information that's been shared is almost treated as gospel, as though people are aware of someone's day-to-day business in terms of what they need to do and understand. It's very frustrating. And we've always tried to be professional about it, and it's never turned into a he said, she said. I think other people have continued to drag us into that. We've tried to have multiple conversations with different individuals privately, being respectful of the dialogue. But again, unfortunately, this is again going to be perceived as though we initiated the conversation. That's not what happened. We made an attempt to try. If we did do it, we've made consistently that July is the time that makes sense for us commercially. So therefore, that is why we submitted the updated application when that was not going to happen, since there would be potentially multiple Hermosa Beach Opens, which no other open event exists that way. It was unfortunate that we had to pull back, and we'll continue as what was recommended before and run the junior event in the weekend that was assigned by the city. So the discussion isn't to move the dates again because we're not running a pro event. So there's no need to shift dates or get into a he said, she said with the other operators. We will continue to run the event the weekend that was recommended in the most recent meeting and continue to move forward in hopes that maybe something down the road can be achieved.
Okay, thank you, Al. Does anyone have any questions for Al?
I have a question. Are you going to look at this next year, the similar situation? I mean, so we avoid this last minute where we're just kind of blindsided by this. Can you talk about your future plans a little bit?
Yeah, Commissioner Warner, again, the conversation wasn't initiated by AVP. So that conversation was initiated by outside parties to the AVP, which is no different than how when the AVP came back to the city, it was an outside overture to the AVP. So in our mind, as long as if there's a current existing agreement with other operators to run the Hermosa Beach Open, then we'll wait to see where their interest is going forward. No one wants to get in the middle of the existing city agreement with the other operator unless there's a relationship that we reach with that operator to see going forward. So as it relates to the future, I think from our perspective, from an AVP side, we'll wait to see where the city of Hermosa Beach wants to be and does it align in our best interest with the cities.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Al. This is Todd Tullis. I'm trying to parse some of your words and trying to understand it. It sounds like maybe there might be an issue just over the brand Hermosa Open. Is that part of the issue here, that AVP wants to call the tournament the Hermosa Open, but that's being used already? Is that part of the source of conflict here?
Hi, Todd, Commissioner Tullis. So to kind of clarify, I think when people kind of talked about, or people have referenced before, the brand equity in any event is the actual title of the event. And so when we operate, the history of the event being the Hermosa Beach Open, no different than the Manhattan Beach Open, the value's in the actual title. And from a commercial side, to be able to really leverage that and make sense of it, no event exists on the calendar now of note that you've run the same event with the title twice. So with there's a current operator running that event, so it would not make sense for us to run another one because all it does is create confusion as well as dilute the brand equity in that title. So once that relationship that the city has always established comes to a conclusion where the city chooses to move forward, then the AVP will always have interest to have the conversation if it makes sense to hold it with the city. Because ultimately, again, the event belongs to the city. It does not belong to the AVP.
Right. Thank you. How would you respond to the comment that the AVP event has been held in Hermosa in recent years, and potentially the Heritage Pro event that was temporarily proposed was not actually an open like Manhattan Beach with a full qualifier and everything?
No, if when we've run the event, there has always been a qualifier. The size of the draw isn't as big as in the recent years when the AVP did run the event. It was not a full draw. The only draw that was a full draw was Manhattan. Every other event that we ran in the traditional heritage format was a smaller draw.
Thanks for that.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions, but I appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Kaylin, do you want to open this up to public comment?
This is the time for members of the public to address the commission on this item only. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Do we have anyone in the chamber wishing to provide public comment? Seeing none, we'll move to our virtual public comment. If you're joining the meeting by phone, please remember to dial *9 to unmute yourself and *6 to raise your hand. And I am not seeing any virtual hands raised at this time.
All right. So bringing this back, does anyone have any thoughts to share before we make some sort of motion?
Chair Ellman, there's really no motion
There's
to
no-
make.
okay.
Because the recommendation was based on a
pulled.
revised LTA application that's been pulled.
Okay. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know, I feel like I learned a couple things here from hearing from Mark and from Al.
okay.
But it seems like a bit of an intractable problem at the moment.
Yes.
As much as I think many people would like to have a AVP Pro event.
Well, I think we have a pro event.
We do. We absolutely do. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it's a great event. I mean, I'm volunteering. I'll be there.
All
So.
right. Well, thanks for calling in, Al, and we'll see you next summer. Next, we're going to move on to the creation of a community dog park subcommittee. Lisa?
Thank you, Chair Ellman. So this item is for the commission to consider the creation of a community dog park subcommittee. This was requested as a future agenda item. And we do have a presentation, but it's just a couple slides, so I'm just going to keep talking. If created, the task associated with the subcommittee would be to work with staff to complete best practice research, and that's really just gathering information from comparable cities that have dog parks on the cost estimate, for building the park and maintaining the park, any funding sources they may have secured to build the park or, just to continue to maintain the park, operational insights, the policies, rules, and enforcement strategies, hours of operations, and just really all the information pertaining to that city's park. And additionally, the subcommittee would work with the Bark for a Park group to evaluate potential sites and ultimately form a recommendation to be advanced to the City Council. And this concludes my verbal staff report.
Thank you. So I think this is a really important subcommittee, and I would really like to be on it if possible. Is there someone else that had wants and desires to do the same?
I'm really interested as well. I've done a lot of the research and read the reports. I just want to make sure, though, if I'm on the other subcommittee for the school youth programs, is that, too much? Or I'm trying to make sure I can give as much to both as possible.
I've served on 3 subcommittees at one time.
Okay.
And, it's up to us to find the time. And then there's nothing wrong with coming back at some future date and saying, obviously I'm not doing what I thought, or, that could happen. But you are more than welcome to serve on more than 1 or even 2 subcommittees.
Okay. Thank you.
Tracy, were you thinking that you were going to?
I would if there was no other interest, but seeing as there's other interest and I'm on 2 other subcommittees, I think I could defer and save my thoughts until it comes back to the commission.
Todd?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to get away by not being on any subcommittees. I would certainly be happy to help with this effort because clearly there's a community need and sounds like some important work to be done.
Great.
So if my services are, I'm happy to help, but if they're, I'm not a pet owner, I'm a dog owner, so
All right.
I'm not as motivated maybe as others might be.
All right, well, we have 2 people that are willing to serve. Would someone like to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion that we create a community dog park subcommittee consisting of Chairperson Elman and Commissioner Warner.
I'll second that.
Give me one moment. I'm just trying to capture the motion. Voting is now open.
Were you deferring to me, Barbara? I know you said you were really interested because
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm really
all right.
interested.
Wait,
Well-
I'm so sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, because right now
Vice Chair Horowitz, your recommendation was for Commissioner Toulis and Commissioner Warner, or Commissioner
Elman.
Elman?
Oh,
That's what
I'm
I thought.
so sorry.
Okay.
Let me.
I didn't even, oh my God, I said yes and I didn't read it because
I had
made
faith.
the motion.
Thanks for catching that, Todd. Or you would have been serving on a subcommittee.
Let me cancel the vote and reopen it to Commissioner Warner and Chairperson Elman. Sorry about that. Voting is now open.
Yeah, me too.
Right now.
There we go. All right, so next.
Sorry, I'm just waiting for
Okay.
Commissioner Warner to.
There we go.
Thank you. Voting is now closed. Motion carries unanimously.
Perfect. All right, before we go to future agenda items, I made a mistake when I was asking questions. I decided that it would be fun to test everyone's knowledge here. So I have a present for a commissioner who can answer this question. This will help us all learn more about the commission, about public Parks and Rec. Lisa, I'm going to ask you a question, but I'm going to ask them a question. You have the answer, I hope. And that is, how many events do we think we hosted in 2025 so far? The winner gets a Snickers bar.
I don't have your Snickers bar.
Are you kidding?
Chair Elman, I don't have that answer, but I know how many
total,
events
then let's
in
go with-
2025.
Okay, well, let's go with total then,
That I do have.
because I think it's impressive.
Is an event days or is it an event? Like AAU is multiple days,
We're going to go with,
or is it just that event is the event?
So the AAU Southern Pacific Grand Prix Series, for example, would be considered one event, even though it has multiple event days.
I won't get it right anyway, but I just wanted to clarify
okay.
the specificity
Oh, look
of
at,
it.
I like this. Todd is like giving us a lot of thought.
Are you talking about the
I've been staring
entire
at the
year
special
or
events
up to
calendar the
now?
past 2 days, so.
Right, and I still
What we
don't
have on
know.
the books. What we have on the books. We'll be impressed with how hard staff works. Wow.
I'm going to
Is
guess
this,
45.
Is this Price is
45.
Right rules? Like, can't go
Yeah,
over?
no, you can go over. I'm easy.
Okay, closest to the pin?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, I was going to say 52.
52, all right.
I'm going over 52. I'll give you a number. It's like the Price is Right.
53.
Okay, give me a number. Wow, you guys take this really seriously.
I know, I take it very seriously. I'm gonna
Anyone's watching,
say
they're really wondering what's going on here. So it's
72.
72. Lisa, how many?
It's 52 events, making for a total of 144 event days.
Wow, good job.
There we go. And I would just like to say that I'm really impressed with staff and what you guys do, so thank you very much. Are there any future agenda items? Does anyone have any thoughts, wants, wishes, desires? We're going to give staff time off. All right. Our next commission meeting is on October 7. Okay. Well, I will adjourn this meeting to our next Parks and Rec meeting on October 7th
At 6 p.m.
at 6 p.m. That's going to be a hard one for me. I'll have to be reminded. Thank you, everyone.